Bishop Robert Barron has been under fire on Twitter for a tweet he posted last week. First, Ruth Graham tweeted out, "New for me, two bishops with ties to Trump's Religious Liberty Commission, including Bishop Robert Barron, criticized the administration's treatment of Catholics detained by immigration officials this week." Then in response, Bishop Barron wrote, "I did not criticize the administration. My comments were pastoral, not political. I simply asked that detained Catholics have access to the sacraments, a request met with openness from federal officials." So Bishop Barron is trying to make a distinction between his criticizing the administration versus him simply suggesting to them that sacraments for the detained would be a good thing. And this is the crux of the matter. Bishop Barron has not publicly condemned the deportation practices of the Trump administration. We know that Pope Leo XIV has emphasized that the Church in the United States, quote, cannot remain silent about the treatment of migrants. And he urged the U.S. bishops to be united on this issue, to, quote, speak together on the rights and dignity of migrants. And many bishops have followed the Pope's lead. The USCCB recently issued a statement saying, "Together we must speak out on behalf of the huddled masses yearning to breathe free, and ask our government to provide fair and humane treatment for our beloved immigrant brothers and sisters." Along with this, we've seen strongly worded statements from USCCB President Timothy Broglio, Bishop Mark Seitz, and many more. Interestingly enough, the Archbishop of Portland, Alexander Sample, even tweeted a message the other day saying, "It does not matter whether some of our brothers and sisters have proper documentation or not. They are our brothers and sisters in the body of Christ and have a human dignity that comes not from government, but from our loving God. Please know that I and your pastors stand with you in solidarity during this difficult time." Now, Archbishop Sample is considered to be one of the most traditionalist bishops in the United States. And many want to see something similar like this from Bishop Barron. But here's the thing, I wouldn't be so fast to assume that Robert Barron is aloof to the topic just because he hasn't tweeted out some script about condemning deportation activities. See, Robert Barron is a smart and shrewd individual. He has not only risen to the position of bishop, but he's built one of the largest Catholic media companies with word on fire. I think that Bishop Barron is capable of reading the room better than a lot of other prelates in the church. Because here's the thing about dealing with Donald Trump. He doesn't do well with public criticism. He does well with flattery. A smart prelate who's involved in the administration, like Robert Barron, would see that it's a bad move to publicly condemn Donald Trump. He would know that progress can only be made behind the scenes. The most good he can do is from within the government. And for the past few months, he's been one of the Catholic members of Trump's Religious Liberty Commission, and he's gotten FaceTime with the president. I think that a lot of Catholics actually need to improve on their abilities to use nuance and practicality when it comes to dealing with global affairs. We keep hearing all these prelates talk about the dignity of the migrant, but they also provide no examples of undignified behavior, nor a roadmap to maintain people's dignity. They just write their tweet and then they're done with it. So Bishop Barron, who has already commented that he's working to bring the Eucharist into the detention facilities, deserves some credit for choosing a practical goal and strategically working to get it done. Robert Barron has done more over the last 10 years to bring people into the faith than just about anyone else. He's not only managing a diocese, but he's on the ground creating compelling content that has reached millions, if not billions of people. Let's pump the brakes a little bit before we start trying to throw this guy under the bus. Okay, real quick, I partnered with a great company called Real Estate for Life. I wish I had known about this company 6 years ago when I bought my home. I honestly just Googled a realtor, and that's who we used. I had no idea there was a company out there with 1,400 agents around the country that can help you to buy or sell a home with a Catholic perspective in mind. Additionally, Real Estate for Life gives a portion of every sale to a pro-life charity. So you get a realtor that helps you with your spiritual needs, you get to help a pro-life company, and a portion of the proceeds go to saving the unborn. So if you need to buy a house or sell a house, or know anybody that does, follow the link in my description to the Real Estate for Life website and make sure to say that Purely Catholic sent you. Okay, let's see what Catholic Twitter had to say on the matter. Okay, Louise tweeted, "Thank you, Bishop Barron, for caring for souls and not politics." So this comment really gets to the core of the matter. I think back to the Second World War when Pius XII was Pope. He was known as Hitler's Pope for years after his tenure because many say he didn't do enough to combat the Axis powers, or they say he wasn't vocal enough. And while he did make some statements in opposition to the Third Reich, it's really his actions that we need to look at. After the German occupation of Rome in 1943, Pius XII ordered Vatican institutions, convents, monasteries, and churches to open their doors to Jews. Additionally, the Vatican issued thousands of false baptismal certificates to help Jews escape deportation and death. This was done through church networks, often at the Pope's instruction or with his approval. The grand public denouncements and grandstanding don't actually get you much of anything at the end of the day. It's discreet diplomacy that can actually allow us to touch people's lives. Okay, KDVS tweeted, 100% with Bishop Barron here. I favor the detention and deportation of illegal immigrants. I also favor allowing detainees access to the sacraments of the church. So I want to hear from everyone in the comments on this one. How should Catholics view deportations? Can we feel confident in our faith if criminals are being deported? What about a 25-year-old male that hasn't committed any crime? What about how we handle refugees versus how we handle economic migrants? Should Catholic prelates encourage self-deportation, where the subject can get $1,000 from the government and have a chance to settle their affairs before leaving? Or are deportations just completely off the table? I know that was a lot of questions, but the language coming from the Vatican and from the USCCB leadership is often very vague. I don't think an average layperson can just assume to know what our gospel values should be when it comes to such a complex question. Okay, Joe Enders tweeted, Bishop Barron is like the only US bishop succeeding at promoting the USCCB's migration message. He is the only one that doesn't sound like he's salty about losing federal funding, and actually cares about the spiritual well-being of the detained. Take note, shepherds. So this user is referencing the conflict of interest that some believe the US Bishops' Conference has when it comes to mass migration. Firstly, about 40% of all Catholics in the USA are Hispanic, so when it comes to putting butts in pews, that's a big deal. Secondly, the Church, through organizations like Catholic Charities, has received funding in the form of government grants to provide humanitarian aid, food, shelter, legal assistance, and refugee resettlement. There has been speculation that the Church has become somewhat dependent on these grants during the 4 years of the Biden administration. Estimates indicate that during those 4 years, Catholic groups received over $2 billion in funding from the government. So I can't say for certain if this funding has played a part in the very strong rhetoric that we've seen come out of the USCCB, but it is a major variable that has played a part in the migration saga. And here are just a handful of the nasty tweets that I mentioned earlier. One user said, "This guy kind of seems like he's becoming a right-wing political hack." Or this one, "He should be excommunicated in my opinion." And another, "MAGA bishop doesn't want people to think he criticized the dear leader." So clearly not the healthiest discourse in the world, but what can you expect online? So let me know what you think in the comments. Is Bishop Barron implementing an effective strategy? Should he be more outwardly vocal? And then let me know with specifics how the ideal bishop should handle the immigration crisis in both Europe and the United States. Thanks for watching.